Hello and welcome. My name is Jody Scholes. I am your instructor for the MBLEx Review Course. And today I am really excited for class because we're doing something a little bit different. We are going to talk about how it all works. So if you've been following me, thank you. It's so nice to thank you. I really appreciate you following and subscribing on the YouTube channel. But for those of you who are like serious about passing the MBLEx, who want to take it to the next level, join us in the Patreon community, and you'll see how to do that in the description below. Because everybody who's here, let me just make sure you can see everybody. Yep. So everybody who's here is a member of the Patreon community. And so we're going to talk about how this all works, which is how does Patreon work? How do you become a patron? What is the Online Learning Center? Where are the classes? You've heard me talk about a practice exam. Where do you find the practice exam? We're going to be talking about how do you know what to study? We're going to be talking about the content outline. We're going to be talking about these live classes and also just where should you start, So, but before we do that, I have a very special guest today. And our guest is going to kick off the class. Edie has joined us today because she has some news. Edie has been a patron in our patron community. She pledged at the highest level, at the $49 level, and took advantage of the practice exams, of the classes, and just was super serious about, it has been super serious about her efforts to prepare for the MBLEx. And so Edie, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and then tell us why you're here?
So, hi everyone. My name is Edie. I got a late start in my career. I was in education for 15 years, and 20 years ago, I wanted to be a massage therapist, but life took me down a different track. So, I finally got the opportunity to pursue my dream career. And I had no idea where to start. Yes, I was in school. Yes, my instructor was great. Yes, we had the outlines, and I'm doing my internship now. So I'm actually out. I've graduated and I'm doing my internship. And I had someone there tell me, girl, why do you have all these books out all the time studying? You need to find Jody. And I said, Jody? And she's like, yes. And so she told me about Jody and her videos. So I went to YouTube, and then the girl came back and saw me on YouTube one day, and she said, no, you need to join Patreon. You need to be in those classes and taking the practice exams. So long story short, that's what I did. Jody has been with me every step of the way. At one point, I told my husband she's really going to get tired of all my messages because I messaged her almost every day about something. But I took my exam yesterday and I passed. And I'm so thrilled. So the whole time I would take, the next question would pop up. I would hear Jody, yep, it's a tough one, isn't it? Well, just dissect that question and move forward. So, Jody, I cannot thank you enough for your calmness, your personable, you're real. You just throw it out there, and you have helped so much. And I just want everyone to be encouraged that when I took the A+ exam the first time, I think it was like a 40 something, and I was like, oh God, I'm doing the wrong thing, but Jody, if I could just say one thing, not to memorize the what's, but to understand the whys. And then no matter how they throw the questions at you on your MBLEx, it's okay because you're going to understand the why. And so that was a real big takeaway from me. So, that's just good luck to everyone. Just trust yourself. Like Jody would always say, like, just trust yourself and just understand the whys. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Edie, that is awesome, awesome feedback. And congratulations. You'll be seeing your post go up soon, your congratulations post on your past post. Woo, right? And yeah, I love what you had to say about the A+ practice exam, because The first time through, man, it is a beast. And if you've taken other practice exams, in other, like on AMTA or ABMP or, other sites, be careful because some of those questions are a little bit easier. And this practice exam is designed to kind of blow you out of the water. And Edie, you said you got I think a 40 something, 40% or something the first time you took it. But what these questions, what Edie pointed out was to understand the why and not the what. So what are we talking about in the question? Yes, we need to know the ballpark that we're in. What are we talking about? Lower body anatomy? We're talking about a pathology. But to really dissect that question and get to the why, to get to the understanding what they're asking and why they're asking it. That will help you almost immediately. Let me ask you, Edie, did you do the eliminate a wrong answer at all?
I did. And a lot of times it came down to two.
I can tell.
And it was, and so going back, and what I did is I took a lot of the big words out, the medical words, the terminology, and I put in layman terms, like if we were just having conversations. And so, and I would even write it down, and cross out and put different words. And so that helped a lot too, just replacing it with words that I understood.
I love that. I love that because I've been this week when I was tutoring, we had a similar situation where it's like, okay, what does that mean in your words? Right? What does that mean in your words? And so explain to me, we were talking about, I think, I don't even remember what we're talking about, but when you put it in your own words, like you said, Edie, like take out the scientific word, if it's like cervical vertebrae, okay, so we're in the neck, right? So we're in the neck. So dialoguing with those questions, these questions aren't there to get you. These questions are there to help. So they're tough. They're definitely tough. But Edie, any other thoughts while we've got you?
Yeah, just a couple. Everyone be sure and fix your hair or look really nice the day that you go, because I pulled my hair up in a messy bun. I wore yoga pants and a really comfortable t-shirt, and they took my picture. So when I got my paper that says passed, I look like I have a mugshot up there on top of that. And I'm like, oh, this is the only paper that I'm going to get with that. Okay, well, so dress nice. You cannot take anything in there with you. Like I even had a really thin crystal bracelet. I had to take that bracelet off. They wouldn't let me wear my bracelet. Yeah, I had to show them my ears, the back of my neck. I had to show them my ankles underneath my stretch pants. And I stood up a couple of times to, move around to figure out which way we were going with muscles. And I was told to sit down. I couldn't stand up and do. And so you might want to practice your movements before you go up there while you're sitting down, just in case wherever you're at, you can't stand up. So, yeah.
Wow. And how did that make you feel when you first arrived?
So when I first got there, I did really good. I packed my car with a Dr. Pepper, a piece of fruit cake, a cup of coffee, and a bottle of water. I listened to my favorite music, going up there. It was a beautiful day. The facility was very nice. It had a little waterfall and everything. So I actually sat outside for 10 minutes. I arrived an hour early. And so I sat outside for about 10 minutes and just regrounded myself and just calmed down a little bit. So I did good until I went through the process of getting into the room. And I actually sent Pearson, they sent me a survey, and I filled out the survey, and I let them know I understood they had a job to do. But people walk in there with major testing anxiety as it is. And then to go through that whole process, like it took me 10 minutes just to get past the, let me see your sleeves, what's in your pockets,
Nice.
all of that. So that was a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, yeah. And I had a similar experience when I took the MBLEx, and this was, several years ago now. But like having to like
Yeah,
show them
show
your
them.
earrings, make sure nothing's on your glasses. They're looking for recording devices.
They took my
Um,
glasses and put them on a little X-ray tray kind of a thing. I don't know what all was under there, but I had to set my glasses down, and yeah, they're
yeah.
pretty
And
serious.
so we share this with you guys because we want you to understand that um, there's going to be things that throw you off.
Mhm.
One of which is the process of arriving to the testing center. So you'll get there an hour early, you'll get grounded, you got the good music going. I love that. Just in that flow. And then these people are like, I mean, I said to the woman, I'm like, I'm taking a test to become a massage therapist.
Mhm.
Well, I'm not a brain surgeon, you know? And it just felt almost like I was going into federal prison, like
Mhm.
I was going to go visit somebody in federal prison. I mean, it was very intimidating. Um, and it did throw me off. So I feel you on that, Edie, and thanks for sharing that. Because just that's why it's so important to have a practice of regrounding
Mhm.
so that as you go through that front desk process and you get to your room, that you can go ahead and take a breath. You can get present. You can come back to your space of calm versus spend the first, you know, 5 questions kind of off your game. So,
Yes.
yeah. Well, Edie, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate. I asked Edie to be here because yesterday she passed the MBLEx. Yay! Yes, and is about to launch her career. And for the patrons of this community, when you pass your MBLEx, you and I have a conversation, and Edie and I haven't had that yet, but to see if you're interested in any business mentoring. Personally, had a practice for 29 years, but I've been through many incarnations in my own personal massage therapy practice. So, as a sole proprietor, as an LLC, as a clinic owner, and so uh, I've had quite a bit of experience, and it's my pleasure to do small group business mentoring for newly licensed massage therapists. So if that's something you're interested in after you pass the MBLEx, then you and I can have a conversation, and Edie, you and I can have a conversation if you like. So, um, all right. So we're going to move into the next stage of class. Edie, thanks again so much for being here. Feel free to hang out or, do your thing. So today we're going to be talking about the patron community. You're going to see what that looks like. We're going to be talking about the online learning center. You're going to see what that looks like, and then we're going to be talking about the content outline and answering a few questions around that. And that's where I'd like to start with you, is in the Federation of Massage Therapy Boards, the content outline. And so let me go ahead. And on this website, they have a little tab for the MBLEx, and this is where you also register, to get your authorization to test. Here, you can go down to exam content, and that's where we are on exam content. You'll see the extension here. And down we scroll to the content outline. Now, for some of you may not be able to see this because I'm changing screens. So I'll stop the share for just a moment and open that again, but I wanted you to see where you're going and how we got there. All right. It'll look a little different on your page. Let me make that bigger. All right, let's walk through this because this is how there we go. All right. So this is how you know what to study. This is what is on the exam. This is what the Federation tells you is on the exam and you should be familiar with, or you could be tested on. So anatomy and physiology, and you see here 11%. And that means there's going to be approximately 11 questions out of your 100 on anatomy and physiology. Now, what do you need to know about anatomy and physiology? So you're going to need to know the structure so the anatomy, what organs are involved in each one of the systems of the body. Likewise, you're going to need to know what that system does. Then you're going to need to know, I don't actually talk about the cellular, the anatomy of tissue repair. I focus on the systems of the body and what those systems do. Concepts of energetic anatomy, fair warning, you may get some questions on practices like Reiki. You may get questions on chakras. Yeah. And so energetic anatomy is still in here. What is not in here is history. We don't need to know any of the history of massage. Bonus. Next category, kinesiology. So 12%. What is kinesiology? Before I went to massage school, I could not have told you. But kinesiology is movement. So it's the movement. So how muscles move. And there will be approximately 12 questions on your MBLEx. See that 12%? All right. So we're going to need to know that you're going to need to know some of your muscles, right? Some of the skeletal muscles we have. You're going to need to know kind of what it means, what proprioception means. You're going to need to know the skeletal muscles, where they're located. But I will tell you, it says here, origins and insertions. You do get questions on origins and insertions. However, they're very difficult questions. I'm okay with you not knowing that. If you can get into the general area, say you get a question about the origins and insertions of the deltoid, very detailed questions. Questions about innervation. What nerve pathway? What we cover in our classes is sufficient. You will have questions you do not know how to answer on the MBLEx. It's just going to happen. So for you perfectionists out there, I love you, but you're not going to get every question right. Probably not. So joint structures and functions, you're going to need to know the type of joints. You're going to need to know what this range of motion stuff is about. All right, let's go to the next category at the top of the second column, pathology, contraindications, areas of caution, and special populations. That's 14 questions. So it's not just pathology. Pathology is a fancy way to say dysfunction or disease. And so you're going to want to know the concepts of contraindications, both general and specific. You're going to want to know specific pathologies, and those we cover in our pathology class and take a look here. So an overview of diseases, what are contraindications, where are the areas of caution, who classifies as a special population. Special populations would be like someone in a wheelchair, the elderly, pregnancy, and you'll want to know session adaptations for those special populations. And then you'll know the classes of medications as well. So we talk about that again in pathology. Let's move along. Got a lot to cover today on how this all works. What else you'll need to know, and you can, again, go to this as a resource, the benefits and effects of massage. So what are the physiological effects? What are the psychological effects? Look at those two words. They're different. Yeah. So we need to know both physiological and psychological. A little bit of cold and hot applications, and an overview of massage and bodywork modalities. Again, you may not know what Feldenkrais is. You may not know what Traeger is, but you may not practice it. You may not be certified in Rolfing, but you do need to know what these bodywork modalities are and what their concept is. We cover that in client assessment or in pathology and special populations. Moving along, 17 questions on client's assessment, reassessment, and treatment planning. So this is your health intake. These are the questions you're asking. We're asking open-ended or closed questions. We're asking pain questions. All right, you can see here, you'll need to know visual assessment. What are you looking at? What are you licensed to do? What's within the scope of your practice? What's palpation, range of motion, and then clinical reasoning as well. Let's move over to the top of the third column here, and you'll see 16% and 15% for our last two categories. 16 plus 15 is 31%. 31% of your questions don't have a lot to do with anatomy or hands-on. It's about ethics, laws, rules and regulations, boundaries, guidelines to a professional practice. That's a third of your test. So what is ethical behavior? What are professional boundaries? What are these terms? The therapeutic relationship, dual relationships, misconduct, da-da-da-da-da. And then that moves easily into the guidelines for a professional practice. And sanitation and cleanliness, you will need to know. Hygienic hand washing, 20 seconds, right? All right, body mechanics. And then best business practices, healthcare terminology and business terminology. And up here, when it talks about, oh, I got it. We didn't say taxes, but business terminology. And you have taxes too, business records, record keeping. All right. So I wanted to give you that insight as to how do we prepare? How do we know what to study? If it's on here, you could be asked about it. So fair warning. But fair warning is also, hey, we've got a blueprint. We've got a blueprint of what's on the test. So that is where the classes and the practice exam come in. So what happens next is the Patreon community. Let me introduce you to the Patreon community. So this is what your page is. A little bit different. Okay. So this is the latest post. When you go to Patreon /Jody Scholes, you'll have an opportunity to join as a member. You'll have an opportunity to join on 3 different tiers if you are studying to take the MBLEx. The 3 different tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, guide how much access you have to the online learning center. At tier number 1, you have access to the site. You have access to all the recordings, and you can see there are plenty. I throw in others. So all of the recordings are here. If you found me on YouTube, there's a lot of recordings there too, right? However, that's not all the recordings. So you may start to hear some of the same ones twice. But you can use, and this is how this works. So let's find. So see here where it says search posts. Say you wanted to study pathology. Then all of the posts with pathology are tagged. So if it's your week to study pathology, here are all your videos, all in one place. Likewise, if it's your week to study guidelines to a professional practice, so you're doing some business studying, all the posts for guidelines to a professional practice are tagged. So that makes it a little bit easier to study. And if you're on tier 1, that's what you have access to, is the recordings and these live classes. Tier 2 gives you access to the online learning center. And I'll stop the share for just a moment because I think you can't see it. Thanks for your patience. I'm still here, but logging in. Thanks for your patience. You know me and technology by now. But next, I'm going to show you the online learning center and what that looks like for you. And so when you log in at a separate screen. The screen looks like this. Oop. Well, it's not going to show me the login screen. But in any case, when you arrive into the online learning center, so we've got our Patreon community. That's where we communicate. That's where we post videos of the live classes. That's where we have a message board. That's where we post our past paper celebration congratulations posts. Separate site. You'll see it says Business of Bodywork here. Business of Bodywork, digital chalk, dashboard. That's where you're going to go for your practice exams and your live classes. Excuse me, your recorded classes. Let me say that again properly. Your dashboard is where you're going to go to find your practice exam and your recorded classes. In our classes, when we come together, I cannot cover the entire topic. In fact, you'll see some of these, I've got 3 topics. Like, look, this is navigating the body, this is lower body, and this is upper body. So you actually have 3 classes on anatomy. Well, and that involves some kinesiology too. You get the benefits and physiological effects of massage, there's pathology, all sorts of different classes that are available for you. But on our second tier, the second membership tier, which is the $20 tier, you get unlimited practice exams. If you decide to go to the third tier, the top tier, that's just $49 a month. You get all of the classes along with the practice exam. The practice exam, as you might guess, is 100 questions. It simulates the MBLEx. You don't always have enough time to take a full practice exam. The classes have quizzes. So when you click on the class, you're going to navigate the body. And then you see here, this little check mark is a quiz. And this shows you this quiz has been completed, but you get to take the quiz. And that's what we call a subject matter specific quiz, meaning you'll be tested on what you just learned, versus the practice exam. The practice exam is 100 random questions, never the same test twice. You might see a similar question, but never the same test twice. There are a couple different ways to tackle the practice exam. So if you're at the second tier and you have access just to the practice exams, there's 2 ways to approach a practice exam. 1, simulate the MBLEx. Wear what you think you're going to wear. Sit down to take this practice exam at the time you think you're going to be taking your exam. Sit down, complete it all the way through in less than 2 hours. That simulates the MBLEx. You are practicing. You're not looking anything up. You don't have any notes out. You are focused, straight through practice exam. The other way to take the practice exam is what I call meaningful homework. You know it's going to be tough. You are not quite ready to sit down and try and tackle the whole thing. So you have up to 4 hours to take that practice exam. You have the full time is 4 hours. If you go over 4 hours or you fall asleep or you go over multiple days, you may need to reach out to me to manually grade your practice exam because the test thinks, oh, they timed out. Oh, they're out of here. So you have up to 4 hours to finish the practice exam. Meaningful homework is when you get stuck on a question, look it up, open a new window, Google it, pull out one of your books, go through your notes, see if you can understand, like what Edie told us earlier, the why, not just the what. What are they asking you? Why are they asking? What answer are they looking for? Dig into that question and understand it. You can do that by Googling, or you can do it by looking up keywords. And so that's the second way to approach the practice exam. You know you're going to take more than 2 hours. You know you're going to look stuff up. Here's the challenge, okay? Once you get within 30 days of scheduled MBLEx, so 30 days from now, less than 30 days from right now, if you are scheduled for your MBLEx, please take these practice exams as simulating the MBLEx. If you only take practice exams with help, you do not actually simulate the MBLEx. There is a time limit, 2 hours, 2-hour time limit. And then you run out of time. Very, very rarely do you run out of time. In fact, I usually have the opposite problem with graduates. It's not a problem, but I have the opposite observation. And that is that you move through the practice exam very quickly. If you are finishing this practice exam in under an hour, that's a little fast. My caution is to make sure you're reading the questions. The goal here is to finish in under 2 hours and to score a 70% or better on the practice exam. That's what the goal is. And to do that without assistance. When you can do that, and for me, just me to you, if you can do that 3 times, pass that practice exam under 2 hours with a 70% or better, you're ready. That is one of the gauges. That's one of the benchmarks that I use to know when you're ready. So this is an introduction to the Patreon account, becoming a patron, becoming a member, pledging, and also what that pledge gets you. These online classes that you can watch at any time, unlimited practice exams as well. So an overview of what you're getting at the $12 level, join the community, access to all the recordings, access to the live classes, access to the message board to communicate with me. The second tier, the $20 tier, first tier is $12, second tier is $20, unlimited practice exams, and of course the live classes and recordings, and the message board interacting with me and my team. Top level, top tier number 3, the $49 level, that gets you access to all of the classes, the subject matter specific quizzes, unlimited practice exams, and the Patreon community, the live classes, the support, the messaging Edie message. Edie mentioned that she messaged, "I love your messages. I want to know," you know. And thank you, Edie. Absolutely worth it. Yeah, $49 a month. Are you kidding me? Hello, right? And look, my intention for you is that you work through this material on a steady pace at your own pace, and we get to that finish line together, right? We get through that. You get to the finish line. You get to the finish line, and I'm the cheerleader. And so that is the intention of the program and how it works together. I hope that's clear. All right, let's just take a look at other stuff that I have on my. Oh, let's go one more level on where should I start. There we go. All right, we have this is the order that I follow in my teaching patterns, and it builds on each other. This is the order I normally load your classes. If you are at the top tier, you can have all of these classes all at once. But I like to kind of spoon feed you a little bit. However, if you're within 30 days of taking your exam, you get them all right away. So here is the order of the videos that I recommend. 1, navigating the body. It lays a solid foundation for you to understand movement, anatomy, some basic anatomy, the regions of the body, and then the structure, the movements at the joints. So we cover flexion, extension, adduction, abduction, all of these, because these change depending on where you are in the body. Plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, navigating the body lays that solid foundation. That's why we start there. All right. Second, I take you through the benefits and the physiological effects of massage. And we're just about to start a new cycle in the Patreon community and in our live classes. So this is the order we'll be going through. Our next week, we have navigating the body. Then week after that, we have benefits and physiological effects of massage. And this is what I recommend for you if you are studying and studying outside of the live classes. So we come together for the live classes, but you want to do more. My suggestion is that you take a subject and study it for the week. Makes sense, right? So, second week, benefits and physiological effects of massage. Third week, ethics, roles, boundaries, laws, and regulations. Now, you'll do 2 of these in the online learning center. There's actually 2, just like we saw in the content outline. That's guidelines to a professional practice. So we have ethics, roles, boundaries, and then we have guidelines later. So this is number 1 of 2 that you'll do. In week 4, anatomy and physiology of the upper body. Following week, client assessment, and this is reassessment and treatment planning. Just like it says on the content outline. Also special populations we throw in there too. Week 6, we do an anatomy and physiology of the lower body. And then we go in again to guidelines to a professional practice. We talk about that sanitary hand washing. We talk about different protocols, best business practices. We talk about business entities like sole proprietorship, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, tax structure, as it pertains to massage therapy establishments. That's in week 7. And then in week 8, we do pathology. And we go through different diseases and dysfunctions of the body, as well as the session adaptations for those pathologies. That's the order I recommend. That's the order I go in. Now, depending on when you're taking your MBLEx, if you haven't signed up for it yet, just go with me through these weeks. You can stay with me for as long as you want. I've had people with me for 2 years. They work full time, have a family, and can only hop on to the classes or to the online learning center every now and then. You are at your own pace, And that is a perfect pace. For real. The shoulda, woulda, couldas, out the door. Out the door. There's no should. Remember, don't should on yourself. Don't should on others. Yeah. So it is perfect timing. We work through these. Now, here's an example. If you are 4 weeks out, it would go a little bit more quickly. And so I share these now and then with graduates who are like, oh my gosh, I've got my test in 30 days. Great. What are you going to do? You're going to do navigating the body, bendings and massage, and a practice exam. And you see guidelines 1 and 2 plus a practice exam. Anatomy, you're gonna kill it on week 3. Anatomy upper, lower, and a practice exam. And then client assessment and pathology. And just FYI, guidelines is guidelines to a professional practice. So 2 examples, one that moves through in 30 days, one that moves through in about 6 to 8 weeks. And know that this 6 to 8 weeks, this is actually an 8-week schedule. You can repeat that as many times as you want. I cover new stuff in the classes, in the live classes, so you get new content in the recordings. I mean, yeah, some of it's the same, but some of it you got to learn. And if you're hearing things that sound familiar, if it sounds the same, then you have learned that. And here's the concept of learning, our learning together. There, you're learning. So you got this much in massage school, and maybe you need this much to pass the MBLEx. Okay, got this much in massage school. Sometimes you get this much in massage school, bonus. But sometimes you get this much in massage school. Or maybe it's been 10 years since you went to massage school and you got this when you graduated, but now it's about here. That happens too. So, but you need this competency level to pass the MBLEx. And we build. Each week we build. And there comes what I call the tipping point. Boop. You're passing the practice exams with a 70% or better. You're feeling confident. In fact, our guest speaker today, Edie, she came back and said, whoa, 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 no, I want to pass that thing with an 80. I want to make sure that I'm passing that thing. And this is the tipping point. When you know enough, not only about massage therapy, about anatomy, about pathology, you not only know enough about that, but you know enough about taking a test. You know, yeah, and Edie says you feel it when you hit the tipping point. You do, you feel it. And I feel it too with you. That's what I'm here to reflect it back for you. But you not only know enough about your content as far as client assessment and ethics and all that stuff, right? Business. But you also know how to take a test. You know that the MBLEx is a computer adaptive test. And that doesn't scare you anymore. I remember graduates who, have told me, "Oh my gosh, Jody, I think the MBLEx got harder as the questions got harder as I went along." Yeah, they do. But when we come together, we talk about that, what type of test it is. I give you test taking strategies, and this is a part of the tipping point. That you have the knowledge that you need as with bodies and also with test taking. So that is my content for you today. Let me make sure I didn't miss any points. Good. So just to recap what we talked about today, we've talked about where to find your content. How do we know what to study? I showed you a sample week by 8-week sample and a 4-week sample of what to study in what order. Doesn't have to be in that order. It's just recommended. If you want to just go by what the Federation has and follow those blocks, absolutely go for it. but it's a suggestion to build on your knowledge. Especially navigating the body is a great place to start. All right, so we talked about what to study, where to start. We talked about the Patreon community and what the advantages are of being a part of that community. We talked about the online learning center. And I'll tell you, every week I'm updating that practice exam every week. In fact, I have a team of people who are going to be helping me in the next 12 months to regularly update not only the practice exam, but the quizzes too. So that's the online learning center. And there you have it. That's that is our that is how it all works. So I'm going to open up the floor now to questions. And so feel free to turn on your camera or open your mic. And I'll leave the recording going, just so note, if you're okay with it, you'll be recorded. Your questions will be recorded to help other graduates of massage school who aren't with us live. Because guess what? You probably heard this before. There are no dumb questions. They're just questions that haven't been asked. Somebody else is thinking the exact same thing you're thinking. So let's open it to for questions. You can use the little thing to raise your hand if you want to raise your hand, or just jump on in. Bye, Angie. So questions, comments, feedback, thoughts. Hey, Tammy, I see you. You look beautiful. Boomla. We should be getting good news this week, Boomla. Should be getting good news.
Hey.
Hey, Tammy.
Hi. I love this because I was not sure how to study. My goal is to go and take the test the end of January. So yeah, I'm gonna be after I get off of here. I'm gonna set myself aside to really take that test without going in and doing the work, so that I can at least see what it is I do have and what I need to work on. But also I love that guideline with the 4 weeks of studying. Because in 2 weeks, I'm gonna go ahead and set it up so that I can go and take the test. But yeah, this was really good. I'm glad I was able to get on today. It's gonna make a difference.
Awesome, Tammy. That's awesome. And something I didn't mention earlier in class, but I do tutoring. You know, if you get stuck on a subject or just can't get through that practice exam, one of the things I do with a tutoring session, which is about 75 minutes, it's $50 just for the patrons, just for patrons. I don't tutor outside of this community. But what we do is we walk through the practice exam. You do a practice exam, and then we walk through the questions that you didn't answer correctly. And we dissect those and say, okay, what led you to this answer? And so that can be helpful. And then sometimes in the tutoring sessions, I just do a lesson. It's like, okay, you have not had any pathology. Well, let's go through pathology. You need to study medicine? Okay, well, let's talk about the classes of medicine. Let's just walk through what the medicines are. You're not going to get that many questions on medicine, like 3, maybe, if you get a lot. But it's still good to know. Yeah, so tutoring is available. It's 75 minutes, it's $50, and it's I just send you a link to my calendar if that's something you want to as you get closer. Also, I'm happy to do pep talks the day before or the week before you take your test.
I'm gonna need all of that. I'm gonna need it all. But I appreciate it. It's really, really good. I know I can do it, and I know it's time for me to do it. I don't want to get too far down the road, because then you do lose, your interest, and you say, let me do something else. But this is so my passion that I really, really want to get this thing done. I want to get past this hump that I've been dealing with for the last 7 months more after failing the first test. So yeah,
It
gotta do.
happens. It happens. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I know you can do it. I know you can. I am 100% confident. Yeah. Hmm. Oh, Shannon's got her test coming up on Thursday. Oh, Thursday next week. Yeah. Ooh, so a week from today. Yes. Exciting stuff. Very excited for you guys, you know? Just you're wrapping your head around what it takes to prepare for this test. And it's more than just massage school. Look, I know you guys are great massage therapists. No doubt in my mind. Yeah. Yeah, now it's just time to jump over that next that little hurdle. And then for goodness sake, keep your license active. Holy crap. Oops, we're still recording. Sorry. Holy mackerel. Keep your license active, because if your license goes delinquent or it expires, you may have to take the test again. Depends on your state. But and also let me mention, in the state of Texas, the state of Hawaii, the state of New York, y'all each have your own test. You don't have to take the MBLEx. So if you're in Texas, hit me up. I can give you I'll give you the link. You can take the Texas test. Now you can only practice in Texas. So eventually you'll want to pass the MBLEx just for motility, so mobility of your license. But yeah. So in Texas, they just this year started their own test.
So let me ask you something, Miss Joey.
Hmm.
Connecticut. I'm not doing it in Connecticut. I'm going to Georgia to do my test. But they're connected to New York. This is the reason why they said their hours are so high, so that if people want to go between Connecticut and New York, they could do so. But um, if you're saying New York just passed their test, they just passed so that they can do their own test, that's still going to, I mean, I'm just wondering, do they still connect the two?
Let me look that up for you, Tammy, because New York has had their own test, which is a New York state requirement, for 15 years. Long time. Yeah. And so to practice in New York, you typically have to pass the New York state exam. But let me see if they are recognizing the MBLEx.
Oh, okay. So,
Hmm.
because that was my problem here. I had to get up to 900 hours,
Hmm.
but I did my class in school in Georgia. So I was trying to make sure when I come back here, is it going to be a struggle to work in Connecticut with all that I've done in Georgia? So if I pass the MBLEx in Georgia, I just want to make sure
Yeah,
I'm
when you
going.
pass the MBLEx in Georgia, uh, then you will absolutely be qualified to work in Connecticut. You'll be qualified to work in New Jersey.
Okay.
However, let me double check about New York. The
I don't want to do it.
reason that you have the higher hours is because New York, to qualify to take the test, you have to have more hours.
Okay.
Likewise, in Canada, if you were to move to Canada, they have a requirement of 1,500 hours to even qualify to take the test. So that's the disconnect in New York State. So let me double check and see if they are recognizing the MBLEx. As of the last time I looked a couple years ago, they were not. They were saying you still had to take the New York State exam. Yeah,
Okay.
Hawaii is the same way. And
Okay.
so, yeah, I'll double check for both. It'll be good to know because that class is coming up where we talk
Okay.
about laws and regulations.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll report back to you, Tammy, on that. I also made a note to send you the 4-week schedule so that you know kind of what you're looking at. Good to see you guys all here today. I love it. Hello, Shajaria. Jaria, Shajaria. Lovely. Hey, Valerie. Glad you made it. Rico Suave. Hey, you. All right, Fabiola. Hey, Winnie. Hi, Shannon. Good luck. Coming up quick. And Tashera, brand new. Good to see you. And Edie, thanks so much again for your comments and sharing your experience. Hey, Blanca. Hola. And Tammy. Any other comments, questions? Happy New Year. Feliz Año Nuevo. I don't know how to say Happy New Year in any other language but Spanish and English. All right, gang. My name again is Jody Scholes. We're wrapping up this recording. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for your time and your attention today. I really appreciate it. I really feel like we're in this, together. And for goodness sake, please do make sure you let me know when you pass this test. I love to celebrate with you, and I love putting up those congratulations posts. In fact, that's what I'm going to be doing next, is working on Edie's post. Yes. So, season's greetings. Happy Hanukkah, which is done. Merry Christmas, which is over. We're in the midst of Kwanzaa. May you have a blessed Kwanzaa, and we meet again here next week, same time, and in the Zoom room. It'll be a new link though, new link for next week. So just watch for that, and that'll be your link for the next 8 weeks. So you can save it. All right.
Thank you. Happy
Very
New Year,
welcome.
everybody.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Edie.